I'd like to welcome everybody who's here. Without objection, the chair may declare a recess at any time. And without objection, we are honored to have the Representative Waltz of Florida wave on to this subcommittee. He's got a lot of military experience. For the purpose of questioning the witnesses at today's subcommittee hearing, I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good morning. I want to welcome everyone to this hearing before the Subcommittee on National Security, the Border, and Foreign Affairs. Today's hearing is the risks of progressive ideologies in the U.S. military. I want to express gratitude for our witnesses for being here. It's my sincere hope that this hearing provides a platform for constructive dialogue on the issues that face today's military. The questions we intend to address today are not just about readiness or the military's personnel system, but how ideological concerns and debates within civil society are imported into and impact the military's ability to recruit, train, and especially operate effectively in a dynamic threat environment. The term wokeness has become a topic of discussion both within and outside military circles, is prompting us to scrutinize how ideological shifts may impact the readiness and effectiveness of the armed forces, as well as how our military is affected once they begin to adapt this kind of woke ideology. Our military is grappling with the Biden administration's social experiments of integrating principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or what's referred to as DEI, into their ranks. The Pentagon often failed to recognize the financial burden these priorities place on taxpayers. DEI managers are making over $180,000 a year, which in my mind sends a message in its own right. In fact, the Department of Defense recently requested $114 million for diversity and inclusion initiatives as part of the President's fiscal 2024 budget request. Unbelievable. To be clear, acknowledging the various experiences of our service members may have the potential to enhance our overall strength and resilience as a nation and fighting force. At the end of the day, our differences must yield to what we have in common, a duty to protect the American freedoms we hold dear. I have concerns about how the DEI bureaucracy implements its framework within the military. Not to mention, I think the DEI framework is not something that is even necessarily true. I think it unnecessarily divides people instead building up cohesion. It has the potential to harm unit cohesion and undermine our sailors' effectiveness. Between this and our Secretary of Defense being incapacitated for several days and not telling anyone shows a concern about the seriousness with which the Biden administration leads our armed forces. We need to understand the influence of progressive ideologies on military policy and whether progressive ideologies are even true. We need to understand the extent to which ideological considerations are shaping decision-making processes. Our armed services have long been a bastion of meritocracy, where individuals are promoted based on their skills, competence, and dedication to duty. It's crucial that we examine whether the emphasis on an ideological framework is affecting the core principles of a merit-based military. Furthermore, I think it's important to examine whether this DEI ideology is even factually true or whether it just serves to divide Americans. In today's hearing, we aim to understand the implications of these ideological shifts on military readiness and effectiveness. Our witnesses will provide insight into how these ideologies may influence training, operational procedures, and overall cohesiveness of our military units. This hearing is an examination of how ideological considerations, even well-intentioned ones, erode the fundamental principles that have historically defined our military and ensure unit cohesion and force readiness. I think throughout our history, our military understand that we are fighting for, the greatest country in the world. And I think all of our soldiers and sailors ought to understand that. Our focus is to ensure that our military remains a beacon of excellence while adapting to evolving needs of our nation and threats we face from our adversaries. It's about leveraging the full spectrum of talent within our nation for the cohesive strength of our armed services. Thank you again for appearing here today, and I look forward to the discussions that will unfold in today's hearing. I now recognize Ranking